Hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass, or welcome to the hills above Monaco. Now in the last few weeks I took my GT3 to the Nürburgring, then I drove it down here to the south of France, I left it in storage, flew back to the UK, got my 360, drove that through France and Spain, then into Morocco. I did that big lap of Morocco, and I went back into Spain, drove up through Portugal, eventually popped home, grabbed a few bits and came back here to the south of France. What I'm trying to say is, well, it's been a lot. I've loved every second, but it's been super intense. And I'm quite keen to just kind of sit still for a moment, spend some time in one place, spend some time with my family. Because understandably, you might have forgotten, I've got a 5-month-old baby daughter. And traveling as much as I have for work recently, it's been super tough for me, for my wife Vicky, and probably for our baby daughter. So Vicky and I decided to move to Monaco. Okay, not permanently, and actually not Monaco, just outside, but for a chunk of time, so that we could spend some time together in a part of the world that we love, but also a part of the world where I can keep making content for all of you. Now, I've got to be honest, things are going to slow down a bit for a few weeks. I want to be as present as possible as a husband and a dad as we're spending this time together. There's going to be the odd early morning, the odd late evening where I can sneak out and make some cool videos because, well, it's a good time of year to be in this part of the world. The Grand Prix is happening down there like right now. So yeah, stay tuned. As I mentioned, the GT3 is already here. I'm actually not going to be using it that much in the weeks ahead because you might remember it got those 2 massive cracks in the windscreen during the Podium Tours rally to the Nürburgring. A replacement bit of glass has been ordered, but the job's not booked in for another couple of weeks. And also, well, a GT3 is not that practical with a 5-month-old baby daughter. But luckily, I have another car I can use whilst we're here. Let me show you. So yes, welcome to a V8 Range Rover Sport, which has very kindly been lent to me by the legends at JLR. I drove this thing down here about 10 days ago, and it's essentially going to be my daily whilst I'm here with my family. I'm not sure I've ever been to Monaco or this part of the world, something so comfortable and luxurious. Okay, yes, this is the Sport and it does have the V8, so it's super quick and pretty capable, but for me, it's just a nice luxury barge. The drive down was super easy, and wafting around Monaco, it's just quiet and dare I say it, a little bit under the radar. Usually I'm here in some shouty, in-your-face sports or supercar. This thing, just kind of keep your head down. It's great for spotting, which maybe we'll try and do over the weeks ahead. But right now, I actually need to head back to the Airbnb because I'm on nappy duty. So you will see me bright and early tomorrow morning, because as I mentioned, it's the Grand Prix this weekend, which means lots of people are in town, including my friends from the Lee Collection, who you may remember I visited in Perth, Australia at the start of the year. They have some amazing cars in Australia, but turns out they have some amazing cars here in Monaco this weekend too. And there's one or maybe 2 that I really want to check out. So yes, see you in the morning as we quietly sneak down to Monaco in the Range Rover Sport to check out some of the Lee Collection's cars. Look at these views. I love this place. So yes, boys and girls, welcome to the insanity that is the Lee Collection in Monaco during the Grand Prix. That right there is a Bugatti Veyron Mansory Vivere. I don't know how many of these cars they made back in the day, probably like less than 5. When it was launched, it was double the price of a standard Veyron. And let's not forget, a Veyron was like €1 million. So yeah, €2 million for some slightly gnarly looking carbon fibre, and actually a whole load of other stuff. I mean, Mansory sometimes have a bit of a bad reputation for doing things a little bit out there, but they do actually put a lot of work into their big creations, and that is a pretty big creation. It's a Bugatti Veyron. And funnily enough for me, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, I came to Monaco for the Grand Prix, did a bit of spotting, and an Oakley designed Veyron came past me. Kind of similar-ish concept, maybe not as impressive maybe as the Mansory, but still a modified Veyron. I freaked out, it was the thumbnail of my video, the video did really well, and I was like, wow, what a moment. And here I am, 5 or 6 years later, standing next to a super cool modified Veyron. And because the Lee Collection are ridiculous but amazing, I'm going to be driving it today. at this car. My good lord. Now, if you watched my videos in Australia at the start of the year, you'll all remember Josh from the Lee Collection.
Hello.
I mean, this is quite the moment, isn't it?
When we first met years and years ago, I never thought, well, we were in a Dodge Charger. We were in a Dodge Charger together across America. I never thought we'd ever be crossing, well, in Monaco with a Veyron.
Like, it's actually a joke. There's a huge part of me, which is a giddy child right now, that can't quite compute that this is happening.
I know.
Also, we were just discussing, this car's from 2005.
It's an old one. It's still, I mean, compared, we were in a Chiron 2 days ago.
All right, calm down, mate.
And they still, at the factory, and they still, this is all you need.
This is only 3 years younger than my Ferrari 360.
Right.
It's the same year as the Challenge Stradale.
No way.
Yes!
Okay, there we go.
Absolutely outrageous. Anyway, we're going to head out of town because, yeah, it's the Grand Prix. The track is now closed, even though it's just gone 7:30 in the morning. And actually, because it's so early, well, we kind of need breakfast. Everyone's been up since like circa 6 a.m. So I thought I'd head us up towards Le Turbe, do some of the cool roads there, find some good crossovers, and just kind of revel in the moment and the fact that we're in a Bugatti Veyron.
In Monaco.
Now just remind me how to put it into drive.
Cross like that. There you go.
That was a bit nerve-wracking. Okay, off we go, people. Now, to get out of Monaco, you do have to navigate some slightly smaller streets, which I'd never really noticed until I was driving a Bugatti Veyron. And actually, this road has one of the most aggressive speed bumps in town. I can tell Josh is already a bit nervous. I'm going to go hard left, because back in the day when I had the 540C, that was my best bet. But it's not a very expensive carbon fibre.
And the turning circle's terrible.
Terrible! I think we made it.
We made it.
Oh. For a second I was going to pull over and be like, Josh, you do this bit. But yeah, usually like just cruising around Monaco, you just don't give it a second thought, but in a car like this, it's such a madly overwhelming moment. As we said a second ago, not in our 18-year-old wildest dreams did I ever think this moment would happen, but no. Let alone as a 15-year-old, or even probably 3 months ago. It is truly special. So yeah, huge thanks to these heroes for making this all possible. And once we get past another very horrible speed bump,
perfect.
People are walking faster than us. Someone literally walked past us as we were navigating that speed bump at 2 miles an hour. I think that's the last one.
Yeah, I think so.
I think.
Hopefully.
Well, Josh, welcome to Route de la Turbe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
I think I nailed that pronunciation perfectly. This is a road I've driven many times in many different cars, and I love, and I feel like I know quite well, but I'm really intimidated to drive in this car. It's going to be quite outrageous. Josh is on GoPro duties because a lot of this car is satin. Without boring all of you, GoPro mounts don't like satin paint, so instead we're going for a bit of an old school, raw YouTube vibe of Josh just holding the GoPro. So Josh, I'll ask you to kindly hold the GoPro up so you can see out of the windscreen ahead, and yeah, we're just going to try our best to hold on for dear life and survive a run up Route de la Turbe in a Mansory Vivere. Wish me luck, people. I really hope I don't die. Okay, that's a bit silly. That is really a bit silly. I mean, the thing is, it does grip, but it also is a bit loose. Like, there is some movement going on, which is interesting, and then it's just like it's almost like a secondary and then a third phase of just pulling, and it's fairly overwhelming. Here we go again. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's over the 4,000 RPM mark that, well, you just go from really quick to ballistic. Josh, remind me, was it 100 horsepower that they added to this car?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, didn't feel like it probably needed it. I don't feel like you see Veyrons going fast on twisty roads that often, but trust me, they're really good when you do it. Josh, it's now a good time for me to tell you this is where actually Grace Kelly, Princess Grace, died.
Oh.
Yeah, just leave that thought with you as we Dude, this thing is wild. Now, I would say that dynamically, the Chiron is actually quite a big step forward, more of a step forward than I thought.
Gotcha.
In terms of corners and stuff. I mean, that BMW is just in the... Oh, look who we found. Some of your friends. I've barely mentioned the fact today that, well, yes, you guys have quite a few cars knocking around this weekend.
We have a couple.
Yeah, including a V12 Speedster, Aston Martin, and a McLaren 688 HS, to name a few.
Yes.
So yeah, they're out here having a bit of a laugh as well. I'm basically being a bit of a tour guide today to the guys in the collection, showing them where you can take cars like this that isn't, well, yeah, Casino Square. Which is that's a good, like, I like Casino Square, but this car deserves more than Casino Square.
Yeah, these things need to be properly driven.
I mean, I don't think I was probably at what, 30% of this car's abilities just then?
It's a fast car. It's unbelievable.
It's a really fast car. But anyway, we are now arriving in La Turbe, where we're going to grab some croissants before we head a little bit further up to what is for me one of the most picturesque roads in this area. Maybe not the quickest, but this car's so intimidating. I don't think like I'm a bit like, I don't need much quicker. Oh my god. This turning circle, it is not a thing, mate. Like,
No, it's not.
that's not something I ever realised. Life with a Veyron, no?
Is it too stressful? Is it worth it?
I'm finding it pretty stressful, I gotta be honest. Mainly because it's not mine. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to reach that. Okay. It's already a hot day, I'm really sweating now.
At least you're not in a right-hand drive car.
Oh, well, hey, look, I have plenty of experience of that. Okay. Right, now to try and find a parking space. Hey, I'm giving you a tour here. This is a truly authentic South of France experience. I do now question, why on earth do people in this part of the world own cars like this? It's ridiculous. Just hold the GoPro up again, will you? Just demonstrate to people what we're trying to... I mean, this is a perfectly normal car park. I've been here many times before, but in a Veyron it's just a little bit more intense. Okay, well, at least we've got plenty of spaces.
Perfect.
Are there parking sensors on this thing?
No.
Okay, if you could just keep an eye on my mirror for me.
Of course.
It's a very low curve, but...
How about I hop out?
Yeah, how about you hop out? Thank you, mate. I don't know, it's alright.
Got about a metre.
A metre, okay. Right, we're in apparently. It is a pretty unique experience driving a Veyron, just walking up to a Veyron and getting in it, let alone then driving it. The way people look at you, also the way it makes you feel, it's a level above any other kind of supercar that I've ever experienced. It's just wealth. I feel exceptionally wealthy. Now, we do have this awful turning circle, so I'm going to have to help the traffic waits for me whilst I negotiate this turning circle. This is a joke. And everyone's already looking at me because I'm in a bloody Bugatti. And then they don't realise how awful it is to turn around. Okay, we're moving. Ah, this is so amazing, but so intense. Right, up the hill we go for breakfast. You know, I've been very lucky to drive various Bugattis over the years, but I would say this is the most honest and real experience that I've had of driving a Bugatti. I'm not on some short limited test drive, I'm not just on the motorway. Even when I went to the factory, drove the Chiron Supersport, I had the factory test drive next to me. Okay, it wasn't Andy Wallace, a pretty special moment, but it all felt a bit controlled. I'm just out here by myself. Josh has jumped into one of the other cars with the other guys from the Lee collection, and yeah, I'm having to figure it out and work out how and when to use the power and where to position the car and stuff. And well, it's showing me what it's like to spend time with the Bugatti in a completely different light. And I've always said that these cars are just like hyper fast Bentleys, but it's actually doing them a little bit of a disservice, because it's so much more than that. And when you think that this thing is from 2005, it's a joke. Like, how can it still perform like this, look like this, and represent this? Oh my gosh. This road is a tiny bit more bumpy than the other one, but so picturesque. I have to say, the Mansory exhaust is the real deal. That's the thing that you want, I think, because traditionally Bugattis are so quiet. Oh my god, but this thing just gives you that soundtrack. Turbos there, like, it is madness. Now I'm going to come back and pull over there for breakfast, but I just want to go a little bit higher and a little bit further, just to, come on, you have to be so patient whilst there's so much grip. The power just kicks in immediately, and if you're not paying attention, oh, it's just going to fire you down the road. Now it looks like there's going to be some roadworks here. What are these guys doing? Just hanging out, alright? Good to see you. There's a little bit more of a technical section here, so oh, down the gears. I would say maybe the brakes are showing their age a tiny bit. Oh. But this thing is still so engaging, my gosh. And there we go, back up to the tighter section by the golf course. So let's whip around and go park up in that lay-by, which I know has a beautiful view over Monaco. And yeah, as I said, as we were leaving the bakery, reflect on this insane creation. Not a bad spot.
Pretty phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, pretty good.
I don't like giving you credit, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, look, let's talk about the Bugatti for a second. So a few things. Firstly, let's just recap exactly what Mansory did, because it would be easy to say, well, they put some strange carbon fibre on it and gave it 100 extra horsepower, but they did quite a lot more, right? A lot of the bumpers changed.
So fundamentally, so this was the first UK delivered Veyron.
Was Mansory at first? Or?
No, so originally a standard Veyron.
Ah,
and then we
the first UK Veyron.
And then we cut up the first UK Veyron, much to the disappointment of a lot of people. But
I'm sure. Okay. Yeah, fine. Well, that's very you. But
100 extra horsepower, new exhaust. It actually has a super sports kind of rear.
Ah, yeah, the clamshelly
thing.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, Veyron's all made of carbon initially, anyway, but this is Mansory's special cubed carbon, we'll call it.
Yeah, it's a unique look.
Yeah, new paint job, new wheels, new front bumpers, new side skirts, new interior.
Yeah, with the blue carbon fibre that I haven't really pointed out yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah, they've pretty much, and the clear super sports taillights. So yeah, they've kind of transformed it into a whole new car. Yeah,
and I mean, it definitely stands out visually. For me, I sort of touched on it. I think the exhaust is the key factor. Yeah. I'm not that fussed about the extra 100 horsepower.
No, you don't need it, let's be honest.
I don't think you need it, but the exhaust changes it, because without that, it's sort of quite a weirdly subdued car, the Veyron. You don't know you're going 250 kilometers an hour.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, this is kind of very, feels like a hot rod Veyron.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's too, I say it's too loud, but it's a lot louder than a standard one. Yeah, it causes a ruckus.
The only thing I would say is, now having spent the morning with it, it's just an intimidating car on roads like this. Previously, I've driven Bugattis, Chirons and Veyrons, are big, wide, open sweepers, and it's been great, and I've loved it. The minute you come somewhere slightly tighter and twisted, it's quite an enclosed cabin. You don't have amazing visibility. You're sort of terrified of the throttle pedal.
Yeah.
Do you get used to it? Like, you haven't driven this car that much, but do you?
Look, haven't driven it that much. You've got to adapt, obviously, super quickly. But yeah, compared to, obviously, the Speedster, compared to a McLaren, a Ferrari, limited visibility, you're acutely aware of just exactly what it is. A Veyron, not my Veyron either,
No.
so...
Not mine.
Yeah, which adds to it. And also, it is an older car.
Yeah.
So you have to treat it like, you know, with a little bit of care and tender love, because it isn't an F8, it is not a 488.
Yeah. The gearbox is good, but yeah, you just have to be aware of these things and just drive kind of accordingly. I mean, it's a fantastically unique and amazing experience, and not one that I would ever turn down again, but just different to how I'd always thought of Veyrons in my mind from the very limited experience I've had up until this point.
Yes, and it's funny because you see them always roaming around city centres.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a city centre car.
It's not a city centre car, but then is it a tight, twisty mountain car as well?
Well, it's a little bit here, it's a little bit of there. It's a jack of all trades, master of really none, except for top speed runs.
Yeah, and being a Bugatti.
Yeah, that's really the only. It's not a Continental or a Wraith, so you wouldn't get it to putt around town technically. You wouldn't have it in the mountains like an LT. So, do you buy it specifically just because it's a Veyron?
I think so, and I want to.
Yeah, I would too, yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for the experience, because I mean, it's so unique, and a kind of weird dream come true for both of us. It's really been a very, very special moment. So we're going to sit back, continue to enjoy this incredible view, and the view this way, because the view this way is as good as the view that way. And then, as is always the best way with these mornings, is we get to drive these cars back down to Monaco straight after.
Yeah.
What an unbelievable morning. Huge thanks to Josh and the Lee Collection for, well, just facilitating that. It's a pretty epic way to kick off some of the content I'm going to be making whilst I'm down here in Monaco. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and make sure you stay subscribed for all the content still to come.